reason they came is because they weren't able to lead their lives the way they wanted to in England, so they tried it out in Holland and it didn't work very well there either. So they found a way to get back to England and then engage 2 ships that were going to take them to the New World. They had no idea what it was going to be like. But I'll tell you a little bit about what it was like. There were no hotels, there were no cars, no gas stations, no McDonald's, no water, no power, no roads, nothing. It was very much like going to the moon. And the Mayflower itself was something else. If you draw a line between these baskets, right down the center of this shim, and imagine that line compared to this line, that's about how wide the Mayflower was. And the Mayflower was about as long as a basketball court. Now, there were 104 people on that boat, and they were at sea for 2 months. 2 months. See this section over here on that side of the staircase? Will all of you kids in that section right there stand up, please? Please stand up, just for a second. I'll tell you why they're great. Because they are representing the passengers on the Mayflower. That many people were on the Mayflower for 2 months at sea. Thank you. Sit down. Not only that, they thought they were going to leave a month earlier than that. They were all living on the ship for about a month before that. And then when they got to the New World, they were on the ship for almost another month until they found a place to be. Well, I'll tell you about one passenger that went with them. That passenger was named Miles Standish, and he was hired by the people to be their protector. He was their security officer. Now, you can imagine all these people on this little boat going across the ocean. They didn't know where they were going. It was sort of like putting a hook on the gym and dragging it all around the country for a couple of months and then saying, okay, there you go. All those people were just left to do the best thing they could for themselves. When Miles Standish was a soldier, he was hired, one guy for their security officer, for all those people in the ship and their safety. It's sort of like having Mr. Pereira. The first year they were there, the first winter they were there, was severe. And they lost half of them. Half of them perished the first winter. You must think, they went there for an idea. They went there for freedom. They went there for a really special purpose. And when they were going, they were so close together that they all really became like a family, even though they weren't related to each other necessarily. They all became very, very close. Now, there were 2 other people I want to tell you about on this first voyage, and I need some helpers here. I'm going to ask George Pennington and Kelly Sheets to come up here and help me out for a second. Now, we have 3. I'm going to tell you, I told you about Miles, who was the old soldier that they hired. And I'm going to pretend in a minute to be Miles. But this fine young gentleman over here is going to pretend to be a passenger on the Mayflower named John Alden, who was their barrel maker. And he kept everything safe. All the foodstuffs were in barrels, and the barrels had to be very safe. Priscilla Mullins was another passenger. Priscilla came across on the Mayflower with her father, her mother, and her brother. Priscilla was 17 years old. John was 21 years old. They came over as a great adventure. And in that first winter, Priscilla lost her mother, her father, and her brother. She was like on the moon all by herself, except the provisions her father had brought as a merchant. I don't know who really he thought he was going to sell his stuff to, but he brought like 120 pairs of shoes and some clothing and so on. But you know, interestingly enough, that sort of thing worked out a little bit later on for them. But I'm going to be Miles Standish. John, I need to talk to you for a minute because I'm really scared. I'm all alone, and I really want to ask Priscilla if she will marry me, but I'm scared. Will you please ask Priscilla if she will marry me?
Miles, I'll do it. Priscilla, would you marry Miles?
Why don't you speak for yourself, George? John.
Now, I was supposed to act disgusted, but I laughed too hard to be disgusted. That's got to be the funniest Thanksgiving we've had yet. What she really said was, why don't you speak for yourself, John? Which meant that she really was interested in John. Well, thank you two very much. Thank you. They ended up actually getting married. They founded the town of Duxbury, Massachusetts, which was just up the road from Plymouth where they started out. And they had 10 children. That's a lot of children. John lived to be 89 years old, which is highly unusual at that time. Priscilla, I know, lasted at least 10 years after they went to Duxbury, Massachusetts. But I want to tell you this. They had a son named Joseph. And he had kids, they had kids, they had kids, about 12 generations, and they had me.
Yeah.
Now that sounds like it might be the end of the story, but it really isn't. It's sort of the middle. Because what I'm telling you is this. Almost every single family in this country has the same story. Many of them don't remember the beginnings of the story. Some of them remember that it happened during their lifetime or during their parents' lifetime. But almost every family came to this country because they wanted more freedom, they wanted to have more opportunity for their families. Also, the people on the Mayflower are close together for a long time, just like us. And this makes a family out of us as well. So please keep in mind the courage that those great guys had to do such a wonderful thing for an idea and for their kids. And think about what a wonderful family they became and what a wonderful family we have become. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yay!